In 2024, my goal was to write more short stories, essays, and novels. I achieved this goal and am still doing so today. In the last year, I've met with many groups of people, given talks, learned a lot about being a writer, and completed more projects than ever before. Rather than the eternal struggle of starting an essay, shelving it for later, and never touching it again. At the start of 2025, I was sitting in my armchair ruminating on what to read and especially deciding what my year's goal was to be. It dawned, remembering the trip I took to London with a friend, that when I enter a bookstore, my eyes are drawn to the classics, the tried and tested books. I am a quite well-organized man who doesn't adhere well to changes in lifestyle. I enjoy an Abbott ale. Steak is medium rare, and although my desk may look messy, I know where things are. But change must be undergone to grow. In 2024, I had already decided that, as a thinker, it would be very close-minded of me to only read the philosophies I enjoy and agree with. I began reading theology and phenomenology, finding out that I did enjoy it. Understanding that when entering a bookshop I only draw myself towards the books I know, have heard of, and are in the publisher's classic binding. This is also quite close-minded. In my last essay on here, I stated that in a lifetime there are too many books and we could never read them all in a lifetime. But to contradict myself, the gamble I took on reading theology and phenomenology proved a safe bet. It has not only changed how I see the world, but also people. What I do not mention, though, is the countless hours I have spent reading philosophies which I still disagree with and have only proven a waste of time to read. But those failed attempts at reading have only solidified my understanding of what I like and what is necessary to read in my line of work. Either way, the pros outweigh the cons, and the ends have justified the means. Therefore, my 2025 goal is not to read more, as, yes, I could read more, but at a cost. I would understand less. Instead, I plan to read outside of what I knew. At the very worst, I will have wasted a year, and at the very best, it will make me a better writer, reader, and thinker. I am already an enthusiastic reader with a book in my coat pocket at all times, and books on my bedside table, and my natural habit is to pick up a book if bored, instead of scrolling through TikTok or Instagram, although they are lovely guilty pleasures. To operate this thought, when I enter a bookshop and I am immediately drawn to a classic book or author name I know, I gravitate 5 books to the left or right, finding myself in unknown waters. This rule does not in any way or form mean I am banned from classics or certain genres for a year. This method has brought me to the first book of the year along these lines. If on a winter's night, a traveler. While technically a classic, it is a lesser-known one. It is not only a self-aware book, but also an exploration of genres, writing styles, and perspectives. A 10 out of 10 read if you're looking for one to sit with in bed or on a beach. Next is the daunting task of the TBR pile, that mountainous stack of books which we buy on a reading high, then only gather dust and are forgotten about until it is time to move or reorganize the bookshelf. This has become another smaller goal of mine. Around 2 to 3 times a week, I take the bus into the city to visit the university, give talks, or merely meet up with friends. This bus ride is an hour each way, and when sitting in the perfect seat in the middle, you can avoid motion sickness. This time on the bus, I have dedicated myself to reading my TBR stack. For further context, I usually have a larger book such as Crime and Punishment or Infinite Jest to read at home when in my armchair, as they're too annoying to carry everywhere. A simpler bedside read that I can read when bored, tired, or just want to cozy up in a storm. Then my philosophical texts, which I read as and when need be, mostly when at the university, or when I am researching for a talk, but sometimes just for fun and to learn. The TBR stack comprises of mostly those cult classics, which we all claim to have read, but never have. The Handmaid's Tale, American Psycho, and Fahrenheit 451, just to name a few. 6 to 8 hours a week on the bus have resulted in me getting through this list quite fast already. So, this year, fear not on reading 20, 30, or 40 books. Instead, focus the attention on reading for both knowledge and entertainment. Growing as an individual, and if by the end of this year you have read more books than in previous years, then that is an achievement also, but it should not be the goal pushing you forward. The goal should be driven by a want to learn, to read, and to grow.